Hi, this is Eric Elder. Welcome to day 21 of our 25 days of Christmas. I am really looking forward to tonight's show because I want to share with you a third love song, which is one of my favorite, and perhaps my favorite of the three love songs. I've just written it recently, just in the last few months, and I love it so much. So I'm excited to play it for you tonight for the very first time that anyone's heard it. So I'm really glad, other than my family and just a few close friends who've heard it, to give me some feedback on it. So anyway, you're going to hear the public debut of that tonight. Plus, I have a special guest. My friend Matt Ludwig is going to talk with us tonight and share a little behind the scenes about arranging and orchestrating the songs. He's already done the first several songs for me from the show. I just play the piano and he orchestrates them beautifully and has done a wonderful job with it. And so I'm going to chat with him a little bit. And then I'll pray with you at the end. But first, I want to read the next scene that was coming up. Maybe you missed the last few, but St. Nicholas, our hero, Nicholas in the story, has thrown a second bag of gold through a window, an open window. This is not a violent thing. This is a good thing. Throws this bag of gold through the window to redeem the second sister. He'd already done this once for Sophia. Now he's doing it for Cecilia to save her from a life that would be terrible. So he's done this, but as he did it, he was caught, not only by the father and the three sisters, and they had a conversation about it, but also at the end of their dialogue, he was caught by three Roman soldiers who weren't arresting him for that, but for being a Christian when it was now illegal to be a Christian because you had to worship Diocletian, the new emperor, the new sheriff in town. And so I'm going to read the next scene. This is after Nicholas has been in prison for about 5 years, and you'll hear what happens. This is Act 5, Scene 3. It's called The Angel. Nicholas is still alone in his cell. 5 years have passed. We see him talking to God again. Nicholas says, "Father, thank you for turning this cell into a sanctuary. I don't know how I could have lasted this long if you hadn't. Those days in the Holy Land were sweet because I felt so close to you, but there's a sweetness in here that surpasses even that. Still, I miss my friends. I miss talking to someone with skin on. I only see the guards, and that's either to give me food or give me a beating. I never know which when the door opens." After a few beats, the door creaks open and a modest light shines. Nicholas reacts and squints. Someone peers in through the doorway. Dmitri, whispering, says, "Nicholas, is that you?" Nicholas says, "I know that voice. It can't be." Dmitri says, "It is. I'm here." Nicholas, "Dmitri, but how?" Dmitri says, "Only God, Nicholas." And Nicholas says, "Only God. You're an angel." Dmitri, after hugging and even in those cramped quarters, says, "I'm not much of an angel, Nicholas, but I'm here." Nicholas says, "You are here. It's like God with skin on." Dmitri looks closely at Nicholas and says, "Nicholas." Nicholas looks closely at Dmitri and says, "Dmitri." They both sit against the wall, looking forward, not at each other. They sit in silence for several more beats, breathing and grateful, with no words needed, as they realize they're really together again. Nicholas says, "How long have I been here?" Dmitri says, 5 years, I'm guessing. It's been almost 6 since I said goodbye to you in the Holy Land." Nicholas says, 6 years. "It's so good to see you." Dmitri says, "And you. You have no idea how good it is to see you. I've been looking for you for 3 months. You haven't been easy to find. I've only recently gotten out of my own version of this cell. I came straight across the sea to try to find you. I had to know where you were, how you were doing, if you were still alive." Nicholas says, "I'm still alive, Dmitri, still very much alive. Sometimes you don't realize that Jesus is all you need until Jesus is all you have." Dmitri says, "I say the same to Ruthie. He is all we need because he has everything we need. All things come from him." Nicholas says, "And you've come from him today, too." At the mention of Ruthie, Nicholas asks, "And Ruthie and Sammy, how are our young bodyguards doing?" Dmitri hesitates, then decides to start from the beginning. Dmitri says, "You'd be so proud of them, Nicholas. After you left, they continued on their own, guiding pilgrims to the holy places. They wanted to share with others the same good news about Jesus they had learned from you. But we all had to stop when the great persecution came. Nicholas says, "Is that what they're calling it?" Dmitri nods. "The three of us weren't as well known as you, so we weren't arrested as quickly as you. We used our freedom to help as many as we could, seeing to the needs of those in prison and those who were still in hiding. But eventually, we were caught too. The same questions, the same threats, the same torture we had seen others go through. Sammy and I were strong enough to withstand it, but Ruthie, she was too frail." There's a pause. Dmitri continues, "One day, after being treated particularly harshly, she returned to us and collapsed. She had obviously been crying, but somehow still had a sweet smile in her heart. 'How can you do it?' I asked. 'How can you possibly smile after all that?' Ruthie said, 'I feel like I've been walking with Jesus for so long now that even death won't really change that. I'll just keep on walking and talking with him forever.' Sammy and I couldn't help but smile back at her. Her body was giving out, though, and she knew it. We could tell she was moments away from passing from this life to the next. 'You can't go,' Sammy said. 'I need you. And there's still work to do here.' But he knew she was slipping away. Desperately, he said, 'If you die, I'll pray God brings you back to life.' 'You could, Sammy,' she said, 'but God's already brought me back to life once, when Nicholas came and introduced us to Jesus. So I know he'll do it again, and I'll live with him forever.' And with that, she passed through the veil and saw God face to face, walking and talking with him as she had always done before." Nicholas continues to sit in silence, thinking he should be sad, but instead feeling his heart soar again at Ruthie's faith. It's bringing his own faith back to life. After a few beats, he says, "Either way we win, don't we, Dmitri? Either we die and we get to be with Jesus, or we live and get to continue his work here. Either way we win." Dmitri says, "Yes, either way we win." Nicholas says, "Some people say I have great faith, but great faith doesn't come to those who have no doubts. Great faith comes to those who've had their faith stretched so far that it has to grow, or else it would break completely." I needed to hear that story today, Dmitri. Dmitri says, "And I want to hear all about you, Nicholas. But there's one more thing I want to tell you first." He pauses. After an uncomfortable silence, Nicholas responds, Yes?" Dmitri says, "I've met someone. She's beautiful inside and out, stunning, and she loves Jesus very, very much. Her name is Anna Maria." Fade to black. And I would have left you with a cliffhanger here on my last broadcast, but I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm going to continue with Act 5, Scene 4. It's called The Girl. Nicholas and Dmitri are still in Nicholas's cell, but during the blackout, they've been hooked up to stage harnesses for what happens next. Dmitri says, "Yes, it's the same Anna Maria you know. When I was looking for you, I found her. She's almost 18 now." Nicholas smiles and says, "You'll have to tell me the whole story." Dmitri says, "I will, but I can't just tell it. I'll have to sing it." And with that, a trill of music plays. The walls and ceiling of the cell fall to the floor, opening up Nicholas's cell, so Nicholas and Dmitri are free to soar as the story unfolds. Dmitri helps Nicholas to his feet, and they're whisked up and away to the other side of the stage, where we see the same street scene that Nicholas met young Anna Maria. Adult Anna Maria is there now, selling her braided flowers. Dmitri describes what happened in a song. So here they are, they're in this cell, and through some stage magic, they're whisked up and across the stage, out of the cell, and transported out of this dreary, claustrophobic cell and into this grand story of how Dmitri met Anna Maria. This is song number 21. It's called Catch Me, I'm Falling in Love. In my journey to find where you might be, I met on my way Anna Maria. Have a flower and I nodded my head. Then I found words and said, so nice to meet ya. And she sort of giggles at himself and thinks, I can't believe I just said that. Is there someone named Nicholas around? And she gasped and dropped to the ground. Then a story she told about 2 bags of gold. I grew suddenly bold for a 3rd bag to hold, as my heart had begun to unfold. To her window I ran, with the gold in my hand I had earned in the Holy Land. Set the bag down inside, then I ran off to hide, praying someday we'd sit side by side. Then I prayed that somehow I'd find you. God granted that prayer number 2. Back to prayer number 1, not to say you're not fun, but sweet Anna Maria, she's naturally a bright angel from heaven above. Catch me, I'm falling in love. La da dee da dee da. And with that, the stage harnesses bring them back. They've been floating around the stage to all these different scenes. They come back into the prison cell. The walls go back up, and they sit back against the wall where they were. It's a lovely scene, and I think it's a great tension breaker after this deep, dark, depressing, claustrophobic feeling being in the cell, as Dmitri transports Nicholas through song into a wonderful other world that was actually a real world, but another world so that Nicholas could break free for a while again in his cell. Now, I would love to turn our attention to Matt Ludwig. Matt Ludwig is our worship leader at the church where I go, and he is a friend, and he also has agreed to orchestrate several of the songs, arrange them, orchestrate them. He performs on them. He sings on them. He's helped record other people to be part of these songs. And we're going to talk next about some of those songs and just some of his thoughts about the songs as he has helped me bring this whole show to life. Matt, thanks so much for joining me here. I was going to ask if you wanted to wear Christmas attire like I am, but I didn't want to subject that to you. So I'm happy with your black T-shirt if you want to wear that.
Well, it just so happens I have something here, Eric, in the spirit of the season.
You do love Christmas. I know that.
I do love Christmas. I love all things Christmas.
Oh, my gosh. Yes. That is perfect.
Yeah. I didn't want to disappoint your fans out there, so this one's for you, Eric.
Thanks. I love it. I love it. I just want to talk a little about your songs, which are magnificent. I can't say enough about them. But I want to hear what you think about them, really sort of why you were willing to dive in. There was a point in time where you said, hey, I'd really like to do this when I came to you about doing some of these songs. And I just wanted to hear a little more of your heart of what intrigued you about these songs and your passion for creating music like this.
I mean, I've always had a passion for soundtrack music, love film scores, and along with jazz and classical music, which they tend to find their way into a lot of film scores. So I grew up, listening to John Williams and Alan Silvestri and James Horner and Danny Elfman and all those. And so I've been inspired by that, but I've been in a profession for the last 26 years that is all worship music. So it's not that I haven't had any opportunities to kind of strut my stuff on the compositional end. I've done plenty of that, just not in this vein. And I don't know, probably in the last 2 or 3 years, I've been feeling just kind of this restlessness of wanting to just kind of expand outside of the arena of worship music and just try doing stuff that I would, what's the stuff that I would want to listen to? I think composers go with that, writing stuff that we feel like we would want to listen to, but obviously that would appeal to the masses too. So you'd approached me about this musical several years ago, and I said no. And I was at a period of my life where, we had kids were in school, and I just didn't have the bandwidth. And a couple of years ago, you approached me about this ballet company down in South Carolina that was, hey, they wanted to do a song. I just need somebody to score it. Can you do just this one song and this one piece? And so I said, well, we'll do this one piece. And then here we are, half a dozen tunes later, with plans to do some more. And I don't know that life has gotten less hectic. In fact, it's gotten more hectic on my end. But this has been a great release for me. And again, having the tools that I didn't have all those years ago too, compositional tools, it has been nice to be able to use those as well. So yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, Eric.
Oh, that's great. It's been terrific from my end. I just love it. And you do have a lot of tools. I mean, you've got all kinds of things now that you perform all the parts, all the instruments, you write them, you arrange them, you score them, you sing, you help record other people singing on these tracks. So, I mean, you're bringing your whole toolbox to bear on this project, and I love that. And a second question, just do you like listening to your own music? We've been talking to some of the people that have recorded, and they don't ever listen to their songs after they record. They just want to record and then move on. How about you? Do you like listening to them, and what draws you to do that?
Man, I'll be shameless. I do enjoy listening to it, but it's not so much that. Part of it is to hear a finished product that you created that God had given to me, and then I put into some sort of tangible form to be able to listen to it. To get it from here on the paper and on the recording, that's just an incredible process. And to be able to listen to something that you've gone through that process and to be able to hear the final product is awesome. But I listen. I'm always criticizing, always my stuff, and so I'm always hearing, oh man, the woodwinds are too loud here, or I should have had another percussion part here, or I don't like that string run, shouldn't have put that gliss in here, or whatever. I'm always critiquing. So I listen a lot, but a lot of it is to, I'm as bad as George Lucas is with Star Wars. He's just always tweaking his work, and I'm doing the same thing. The other part of that is, technology is always evolving. So when there's something new that comes out, I listen to an older composition with the intent of, okay, what would this sound like with this new toy that I have? So always listening, always critiquing. And then, I'll listen intently for about a month, and then I forget it. I even wrote it.
Well, I've been listening over and over again, and I just thoroughly enjoy every arrangement you've done. They're just so off the charts and just wonderful.
Thank you.
So I really enjoy it.
I appreciate that. So there's one who likes it. Yay!
There's definitely one, and I'm super happy with the results. So thanks. And I'm not critiquing. I'm just enjoying the process. I did the same with my book when I finally got the whole script and score finished. Just even last night, I took this to bed with me, and I just sat there with it and just go, oh my gosh, I put a lot of years and a lot of work into this full script and 25 songs and everything. And it's very satisfying to have a finished product, or, as finished as we can make it. As kids, we were in 4-H club. And our motto was to make the best better, which is a horrible thing for a child to have to go through and live with for the rest of my life. Now, I always am trying to make the best better, which I don't know, that sort of diminishes the value of best. But anyway, I am always tweaking too. So.
But no pressure.
Third question. What do you hope audiences get from these songs? I know as you were orchestrating, arranging them, you were trying to create certain emotions, certain feelings. What do you hope an audience would feel as they watch or enjoy the show?
Well, I don't ask for much, Eric. I just hope it's the greatest thing that they've ever heard in their whole lives. I'm kidding.
Thank God. I think it will be.
No. I just want the music to help tell the story that's already great. It's a great story.
Mm.
St. Nicholas, the real Nicholas. And I just want my music not to impede that story, but to move it along.
Mm.
That's what. And I know this is more of kind of a Broadway style musical, but my passion is for film and that kind of stuff, and we've seen it. Music just does exponential things in moving a story along, and I hope it does that. The other thing, and this really wasn't as pertinent then as it was now, but with the world in absolute chaos right now, just any place you look in our culture, just everything seems to be broken.
Mm.
And if there's something that can, I have no idea how many people are going to hear this thing, but whoever hears it, and certainly God is always our audience of one. And so he's hearing it. And, I know he's pleased with these sacrificial offerings of praise that we offer up to him. But other people who listen to it, and I just hope they above all things, hear the hope of Jesus Christ. His is the only message worth telling anyway, really, or anything that supports that. So I hope there's hope in there. I hope there's eternal hope in there, the saving message of Jesus. That's what I want people to come away with when they hear the music.
I love all of that, and I can hear, and I've heard you recently in recent years say that your inner desire is really to score a film. You really would love to score films, score movies, and so I'm really hoping and praying you get that opportunity, maybe even on this show if we get to that point. But I love that idea too,
or at least a commercial. State Farm, if you're out there and listening.
Let's do it. Let's have one done. 15 seconds of fame for Matt Leffingwell, the biggest arena in the world. I think these songs are going to give us give exactly that. I think they're going to give a lot of people hope and joy, and just the way you put them together. They draw on so many classical elements, but a lot of contemporary things in there too. And just your sound is very unique to you. I call it Ludwigian. I think it's a beautiful sound. It's very exciting and fun and dramatic, and you've got all kinds of emotion in there. So thanks.
Well, thank you, Eric. If I can add just one more thing, that the songs were already written, and it's nice to have a palette from which to work. And when you presented me these songs, it was just nice having that canvas already there, and made it easy. The melodies are strong, singable. The message is clear, concise. And you gave me the freedom to change a lyric here and there, change a melodic structure here and there. And you really did give me a lot of freedom to do that. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. I love the songs too. I love them the way I wrote them, and then I hear them the way you did them, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're even better. So somehow you've made the best better. So congrats to you on a good 4-H motto there. If you had to pick one of the songs that you're proudest of these half a dozen that we've done, is there one that you really sort of go to that you're like, I really like the way this one came out?
Yeah, I'd be more inclined to probably choose the latest two that I did, probably because I as I've written and started, we've been doing this together for 2 years, and I've kind of learned as I've gone along. And so, who's it going to be today? The minor key version of it, just because there's so much going on there. I can actually see the story progressing as I'm writing the music and as I'm listening to it afterward. And there's such a dynamic range in that tune, because you're going from the frantic fear of the townspeople, then all of a sudden to this poignant scene of Nick's mother holding this dying child, and then the townspeople seeing that, and then going back to the frantic response of the townspeople. It really takes you on a roller coaster of emotion, I think, just within whatever it is, a 6-minute tune or whatever it is. And I'm proud of that one. The other one that's kind of the opposite of that is There Room for Me? Because that one, I went from big orchestra down to this kind of intimate, and there's still some strings, I think, and maybe some horns in there, but a lot of it is just more keys and synth type stuff that's in there that was really nice. And the young man Thomas, who sang that the lead in that song, I thought he did a really nice job with that. It just all marries together. It's just a nice, simple message, and I love it.
Matt, thanks so much. This is great. Merry Christmas to you. Even though it's July when we're recording this, people will watch this all year round, I hope, and at Christmas time. So I'm glad you wore your jacket too. Thanks.
Thanks, Eric. Merry Christmas to you too.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Matt, I really appreciate him joining, and he is such a talented musician and a man of God too. So I really appreciate him joining me on this project. I'll be playing some of those songs for you that Matt has arranged and orchestrated. Hopefully we'll have those released soon that you can hear the first several songs, at least, from the show, and you'll be able to listen to them on Spotify and Pandora and YouTube and iTunes and Apple Music, all those places. So we'll have those out for you soon, and you'll be able to hear everything. Let me pray for you that God would bless you abundantly today. Father, thank you for the way that you've spoken into our lives. Thank you for the giftings you've given each one of us, different giftings that we can use in different ways. And Lord, I thank you that you can use each one of us, that you have equipped each one of us to do a special part in your kingdom, God. And I pray for whatever that part is, for the person watching this, whether live or later, that you would help them bring to the surface their gifts so that they can use them for you, God. And Lord, those could be just such a range of gifts. There are so many ways the body of Christ functions. And I pray, God, that you would bring those to life, help people to walk in their gifts, walk in their calling, and release their gifts to the world. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Have a great night.
Thank you.